In the following lecture, we're going to learn or we're going to try and solve chemistry P5 planning analysis and evaluation. It's going to be a 970151 paper. It's paper 5, May, June 2016. It's a 1 hour 15-minute paper. Now we're going to start with question number one. Question number one states that lithium is a soft alkali metal which may be cut with a knife. It is usually stored under oil because it reacts rapidly with moisture and oxygen in the air. So if you probably should be aware because probably studied this is probably one of the most the first thing you usually study, that is that group 1 metals are extremely reactive and very reactive. So there's some precautions that are provided that lithium is corrosive and may cause burns. So if you handle lithium with your bare hands, it might burn your skin. And lithium is highly flammable, and a large amounts react violently with water. So the reaction is very violent. So you need to keep at a safe distance from lithium when this reaction is happening. The reaction equation is provided. It's lithium reacting with water, and it's producing lithium hydroxide, and hydrogen gas is given off. Usually, it's the hydrogen gas that is flammable. The heat that is generated in the reaction causes an explosive reaction because hydrogen catches fire. Now, this reaction can be used to determine the relative atomic mass of lithium. So that's the main purpose of this experiment. You need to figure out the relative atomic mass of lithium, and by measuring the volume of hydrogen produced from a small amount of lithium. So you're going to measure the relative atomic mass, AR, of lithium by measuring the volume of this gas that is produced in the reaction. Moving to the first part, you're being asked to draw the apparatus you could use to measure the volume of hydrogen produced using standard laboratory experiment. So remember, your apparatus, what's the purpose? Measure the volume of hydrogen gas that is produced in the reaction. Label the chemicals in your diagram and show how the reactants can be kept apart until the reaction is started. So that's also one purpose, that you need to somehow keep the reactants away from each other. They need to be kept apart before the reaction starts and you start collecting hydrogen gas. So let's think of a diagram, lithium reacting with water, and keeping two things in mind. We need to collect the volume of hydrogen gas, and we need to collect it as accurately as possible. The other one, the reactants can be kept apart, they need to be kept apart. So let's start our drawing. Now here's my basic diagram for gas collection. I'm using a gas syringe. There are other methods of collecting hydrogen gas. Remember, this is the reaction. Hydrogen gas, the volume of H2 gas has to be collected. So it's a calibrated gas syringe with all the readings on the syringe. You could also use gas collection over water, which is, now this diagram over here is gas collection over water. You can also use an inverted measuring cylinder or a gas jar. An inverted measuring cylinder has all the calibrations on it, so you can figure out the volume of gas that's being collected. There's water over here. H2 gas is going to come in, and you can collect it in this pocket that's it's going to get collected over here. And you can measure the volume by taking readings of the measuring cylinder or the calibrated gas jar. And so that's another way. And the reason you can collect it over water is that hydrogen gas is not soluble. So that's another method. But I'm going to use the syringe, measuring syringe, because that's easier. So let's go back to our apparatus, a measuring syringe, simple apparatus to set up. There's gas going to be collected over here. There's H2 gas. There's water. So there's water in the flask. This is the conical flask that I'm using. It's better to use conical flask because remember, conical flasks are the ones that are very helpful in gas collection because they have a smaller opening, so you can fit a rubber bung easily. So always use a conical flask when you're doing gas collection. Now, one task that you were given was that lithium and water have to be kept far apart. Now, remember, lithium is not explosive in small amounts, so you're not using a very large amount. Remember, originally when we read the question, it was written that in large amounts lithium is explosive. So it's not explosive in small amounts. So we will be using One thing that we'll try and do is to do this experiment safely is we're going to use small amounts of lithium so that no explosion happens. Now, lithium has to be mixed with water, and you have to keep water and lithium as far away from each other before the reaction starts. So, how do you put in lithium in water? Because if we open this top, if we remove the rubber bung and then we add lithium through the top, then some amount of gas is going to escape and the amount of gas collected would not be accurate. So you don't need to, you need to keep it sealed, tied um, throughout the experiment. So how do you put in lithium over here? The way you're going to do that is there are many ways that you can do that. One way is, so here's my diagram. One way is that you have a small capsule which contains lithium and it's tied to a thread. And you let go of the thread. Uh, Once you let go of the thread, this lithium over here is going to fall into the water that's over here, and the reaction is going to start. So that is one way that lithium could be kept away from the water that's in the flask by hanging the lithium or the piece of lithium in a tube with a thread and then letting go of the thread when you want the reaction to start. So that's your apparatus. You're being asked label the chemicals in your diagram, so always read the questions very, very carefully. So let's label the chemicals, lithium, and show how the reactant. So that's already done. We're also going to do some more labeling. We're going to talk about this as well. This is a conical flask, just to be on the safe side. And this over here, let's label that as well. So it's a rubber bung. So we've pretty much labeled everything in the reaction. We'll also explain just to be a little bit more efficient. This is the place where volume of H2 gas is collected and measured. Now, moving to the next part of the question, part B, it states to successfully carry out this experiment, a correct procedure must be followed. The lithium you will use is stored as large pieces under oil. That is already mentioned earlier. You need to store group 1 metals under oil, beginning with a large piece of lithium being removed from the oil. State how you would prepare small pieces of lithium for use in the experiment. So let's try and answer this. What you're going to do is cut with a knife. If you remember your O levels, group 1 metals are soft. So they can be easily cut with a knife, and then you're going to remove the oil as well. So that's just a 1 mark simple question. Most of the questions in P5 are going to be very, very simple. Next, part 2, by only observing the gas collecting apparatus, state how you would know the reaction has stopped. So how would you know that the reaction has stopped? So no change would be seen once reaction has stopped. No bubbles would be produced. So no bubbles, no more increase in volume of H2 gas. The syringe is going to stop moving. Anyways, that's only a 1 mark question, so you just have to give one reason. So if you add lithium to water, you would see bubbles. If the reaction stops, you're not going to see bubbles. That's one way. Uh, Moving to part 3, the question states, other than eye protection, state 2 precautions you would take to make sure that the experiment proceeds safely. So we're going to use the information that's already provided in the apparatus. Initially, they told us, if you go back and have a look, right at the beginning, somewhere they told us that lithium is very corrosive and causes burn. So you need to wear gloves. So the answer is within the question. And the other one is it's highly flammable. So keep it away from flames. And it reacts explosively with water. Keep it away from water if you haven't started the reaction. So it has to be stored very, very safely. So they've already given the answers in the question. So we're going to just write down those answers. The first one is that wear gloves. Then you have keep away from flames. Or we can come up with a third one as well, that you need to store lithium safely away from water, under oil. Put it in oil. If you're not using lithium, place it in oil. So that's another precaution that you could take. So we're done with our two precautions. Let's move to part four. Part four states that lithium, the relative atomic mass of lithium, is known to be approximately 7. What approximate volume of hydrogen gas would a zero point 0.1 gram mass of lithium produce? So this is a moles question now, and we need to figure out the volume of H2. So the first thing is I'm going to write the equation. And this is my equation, which is already given in the question. You're given 0.1 grams of lithium. So the first thing is I'm going to figure out the moles. How do you find out moles? Moles is mass divided by the AR in this case, which they have already provided that it's approximately 7. So 0.1 divided by 7. So how many moles do we get? So I'm getting 0.0143 moles. Now it's important to have your calculations done to 3 significant figures at least. So I've rounded it to 0.0143. This one is a rounded value. Now the other part is I need to figure out the moles of H2. So I'm going to multiply this by 2 because if you look at the equation, not multiply by 2 but divide by 2, because 2 lithiums, they produce 1 H2 molecule. So let's divide that by 2 and we'll find the moles of hydrogen gas. So it's going to be 0.0143 divided by 2. So on my calculator, I said one thing that you should be very careful is don't use rounded values in each steps. If you have correct values coming in with lots of decimal positions on your calculator, keep using those values. Keep bringing the most accurate value forward. When you're writing it on the paper, you can't really write that long value, so you have to always make it up to 3 significant figures, because that's also the accuracy that's given in the question. So just make sure that that you use the most accurate value to find the moles. So I'm getting 0.00714 moles. And the last step is 1 mole occupies 24 dm³. So I need to find the volume of hydrogen gas that's going to be produced. So it's going to be moles, 0.00714. That would be multiplied by 24 dm³, and let's find out the volume. Now you can even see on my calculator over here that I'm actually taking the most accurate value that's forward, that's given on my calculator. And the answer I'm getting is 0.171 and plenty of decimal positions. So I'm going to round this up to 0.171 dm³. So 0.171 dm³, or I don't think they've given you any units to calculate. So let's keep that in dm³. So that's the volume of H2 gas that's going to be produced. But since our apparatus is in cm³, let me also convert that into cm³, 171 cm³. Because the next part of the question is, what would be the capacity of the gas collecting apparatus you would use for the volume of hydrogen gas produced in 4? So what I'm going to do is, let's keep it as 250 cm³. You need a safe limit. That's the total amount of gas that's going to be collected, 171 cm³. So you need some room. You don't want the gas syringe to fail or explode because you're just cutting a small piece of magnesium with a knife. So you're not going to be very accurate. You're not going to be exactly at 0.1 grams. You might by mistake cut 0.13 grams or 0.15 grams. So you need some room for the inaccuracies in the apparatus. So always keep some room when you're trying to figure out what volume of the apparatus what would be the dimensions of the apparatus. So 250 cm³ is a safe volume for the gas syringe. Now let's move to part C, which states that another method that can be used to determine the relative atomic mass of lithium is by titration of the lithium hydroxide produced during its reaction with water. So, in the reaction, there is lithium hydroxide being produced, and they're saying you can titrate the solution. And the following experimental procedure may be used. You add 100 cm3 of distilled water to a clean beaker, add a known mass of lithium to the distilled water. After the reaction is complete, transfer 25 cm3 of the solution of the lithium hydroxide from the beaker to a clean conical flask and titrate this with an acid of known concentration. So the first part is state how you would accurately measure the total volume of distilled water in step 1. So let's focus on step 1. You need to add 100 cm3 of distilled water, and they're also saying you need to be very accurate with that. You have to accurately measure this. Now, there are plenty of apparatus that can be used to measure the volume accurately, but the best one is probably going to be a burette. But a burette is usually 50 cm3. So what you can do is you can measure that volume twice and add it. So a burette is a very accurate device. So that should be sufficient for that. So that's step 1, measuring 100 cm3 of distilled water. The next part is state how you would know that the reaction between lithium and distilled water was complete. So lithium and water. Now here's the reaction that's happening. Lithium reacting with water to form lithium hydroxide, and hydrogen gas is produced. So there's this piece of lithium that you've added, a small piece of lithium that you've added in water. So how would you figure out that the reaction is complete? So the first thing is this piece of lithium would eventually react and dissolve and disappear. So lithium piece, or the piece of lithium, disappears and completely and dissolves. So that is how, that's one way you can figure out that the reaction has now completely stopped and the reaction is complete. The next part is state how you could transfer 25 cm3 of the solution of lithium hydroxide into a clean conical flask in step 3. Now, this over here is your apparatus. Once this reaction is over and the piece of lithium, let's remove the piece of lithium. That piece of lithium has completely dissolved. Now there is no lithium. Instead, in its place, there is lithium hydroxide solution, but it's a 100 cm3 solution. So that's a large amount. So you're going to transfer 25 cm3 into a conical flask. So how would you do that? Now remember, the device that is used to transfer 25 cm3 into a conical flask and that does it accurately, it's like a dropper, that is a pipette. So you're going to use, it's a 1-mark question, so you're going to use a pipette. And most pipettes are actually 25 cm3. So you don't even have to have a graduated pipette. A normal pipette with a volume of 25 cm3 is enough. Next part is state how you would ensure that your titration result were reliable. So let me first draw on the diagram what's going to happen next. So this 25 cm3 lithium hydroxide is going to get added to this conical flask. Let's shade that. There's lithium hydroxide in this conical flask, and then you're going to start your titration. You're going to take a burette and you're going to start pouring in an acid of known concentration to figure out lithium hydroxide. It's a metal hydroxide, it's a base. So you're going to figure out what amount of acid is required to neutralize the lithium hydroxide that's in the solution. So the question is, how would you ensure that your titration results were reliable or accurate? Not accurate, but reliable, so that there is no mistake in your titration results. Now remember one thing, that reliability is different from accuracy. Accuracy is how close you are to the true value. Reliability is whether your results have some sort of completely, are they reliable or not, means that are your results repeatable. So what you're going to do is you're going to repeat experiments until you keep getting the same value or close to the same value over and over again. So until the difference in your burette readings is 0.1 cm cube. That means that your values are repeatable now. That means your data that's coming in, it's quite reliable. Let's move to the next part of the question, which states in part D, it states to make sure that the beaker and the conical flask used in the experimental procedure in C are clean, a student decides to wash them out with some distilled water before starting the experiment. Now, some water remains in the beaker. State the effect, if any, this would have on the calculated relative atomic mass of lithium. Explain your reasoning. So, listen carefully again. What is the error? That some water remains in the beaker. So, the amount of water that you're adding, let's go back and have a look. You were supposed to add 100 cm cube of water in this beaker, and you were supposed to add lithium metal to this beaker. Now the solution would be 100 cm cube that's going to be produced. But if there is some water that's remaining, the only error that's going to happen is that the amount of solution that you have is going to have more water in it. Let's say there's 5 cm cube of water in the beaker already, so that's where your error is going to start. That the amount of solution that you're producing with the same amount of lithium, it's kind of greater. You're thinking it's 100 cm cube, but it's actually 105 cm cube because you haven't dried the beaker. So there's some water, let's say 5 cm cube water that's already present in the beaker. So that's where the error starts. Now, because of more water in the beaker, your solution is kind of more dilute. So when you transfer the 25 cm cube of lithium hydroxide, the concentration would be lesser. So I'm going to do the working here. So there's going to be lesser concentration of lithium hydroxide because you're adding more water to it. If there's lesser concentration, your volume is the same. You're still adding 25 cm cube of lithium hydroxide over here. So the moles are going to be lesser. There would be lesser moles of lithium present in the flask. Now, because of these lesser moles, whatever you do after, whenever you do whatever calculations you perform, because your moles are lesser, moles is equal to mass over AR. So if because of your error, because you added more water to the flask over here, by your error that you did, you forgot to wash or clean the apparatus neatly. So there's more water over here. The solution would be slightly more dilute. The flask would have lesser concentration, and that would result in lesser moles of lithium in the flask. So if the moles are lesser, then the relationship between moles and AR is that moles is equal to mass over AR. So they're inversely proportional, which means that your AR is going to come out to be a lot larger. So that is one major issue that's going to come if you add too much water instead of 100 cm cube. If you've added 105 cm cube, that's one error that would come out in your calculated AR. So I've written my reasoning over here, which is that the solution is more dilute. There's lesser moles of lithium hydroxide, hence lesser moles of lithium are going to come out. You're going to calculate lesser moles of lithium. And since moles is equal to mass over AR, if you have lesser moles of lithium, the AR would be larger. So the calculated AR is going to come out to be a lot larger. Let's now move to the next question, which states that some water remains in the conical flask. State the effect, if any, this would have on the calculated relative atomic mass of lithium, and you're supposed to explain your reasoning as well. Now, what would happen if the conical flask, let's say there were X moles of lithium hydroxide that you have transferred in the conical flask. So there's some amount of lithium hydroxide that has been transferred to the conical flask, and you're adding the acid and you're titrating it with the acid. Not X actually. If you read the question carefully, you pipetted 25 cm cube of, so let's keep it as X because let's keep that as X moles. You added 25 cm cube of lithium hydroxide and you're trying to titrate it with the acid. So he's saying, what if you started adding more water to it? If you didn't wash the apparatus carefully and there was more water present, and you transferred this 25 cm cube of lithium hydroxide. Now, even if there was more water added to this flask, let's say even after the experiment has started, you started adding water, nothing would happen because your moles that are coming from the beaker, they're fixed. Adding water to this conical flask is not going to change that. So the amount of acid that's being added from the top, the amount of acid that's coming in from the top, it's going to react with the lithium hydroxide. It has nothing to do with the water that's present in the conical flask. So remember this is a very, very important point, that when you're titrating, even if this conical flask is not washed properly and there is excess water that's present in the conical flask, your lithium hydroxide is coming from somewhere else. The moles of lithium hydroxide that are entering this conical flask would remain unchanged. Even if you add more water to it during the experiment, or there's water that's present on the sides of the conical flask, you haven't washed it properly, it's not going to affect the moles of lithium hydroxides that are already in the conical flask. So the amount of acid that's going to be added, it's going to remain exactly the same. If you had water in the conical flask or you had dried it carefully, that would result in no issues. The values are going to remain exactly the same. So I've written down the answer that the water present would not change the amount of lithium hydroxide in the flask and your titration result remains unaffected.